Ministry in Latin America is life-changing for an American. There's a verse in 1 Thessalonians 2:8 that captures that really well. We were delighted to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well, because you become so dear to us. So for me in Latin America, the relationships are pretty deep. They're meaningful. Sometimes it's challenging to continue to grow in that way, but coming to Latin America, I've learned so much about loving people. If you come to Latin America, you will learn to have really meaningful relationships with people and grow in really loving them. Jesus invested in 12 guys. He had some other people around him, but he really focused on individuals that he invested in. And so in Latin America, we really want to understand, okay, Lord, who are these people you're giving me? How can I invest deeply in their lives so that they can go on and have an impact where I can't? They're going to go on to places where I can never go. So we can reach the world by making disciples one at a time. John 12:24, Jesus says, there's this kernel of wheat has so much potential in it, but until it dies, it can't produce fruit. And when you go on the field to a new place, that's the most essential thing, learning to die to yourself, to the old ways that you did things, and discovering this new life that God can create through death in your own life to really be able to bring life to the people around you in that environment. So I'd say that's one of the qualities, as a person who's willing to die to old ways and even to their own personal preferences in order to adapt to that culture that they're going to. In Psalm 1, it talks about that tree that flourishes next to a stream of water. Well, that water is God's word just constantly speaking to us, encouraging us, challenging us, rebuking us, training us, all those things that God's word does. So if you're a man and woman of God's word, come, be a part of what God's doing in Latin America. So the question is, okay, Lord, am I convinced that this is worth giving up to follow what you're asking me to do? So as you're counting the cost and you're making those decisions, being led by the Spirit in that, that's where I would say, go down that path as you're considering serving overseas, especially with us in Latin America.